Now is we're going to have a little bit of an interview with somebody who helped me out recently, somebody who helped me out really get my mindset back to where it needs to be. But also remember, people, before lunch you're going to have Jada, who's going to be getting interviewed by me, have a chat, and then we're going to have me. I'm going to be back. I'm going to be back, and I promise you, they get stronger every single session. Pippa came off stage before and she said, you know what? She went, that was a strong opener. They get stronger, people. So thank you so much for being here today. And this is the magic that is Spotlight Studios, because what you wouldn't have seen is this. Zoom out. Oh, don't zoom out. That's fine. What you wouldn't have seen is this. Look at this. How cool is that? The magic of Spotlight Studios. Boys and girls, without further ado, for the next 30 minutes, let me just get my thing here. Let me get my sheet there. For the next 30 minutes, we're going to have a chat with someone who really helped me recently to get back onto winning strides. Boys and girls, give it up for Jada C. Jada, just to get it out of the way, Jada, come on. Right, I lost. Jada. So, you and I have known each other for about, just put a timer on. You and I have known each other for about 14 years. 14 years, and when I knew you was a lad about town over in Weston-super-Mare, which is where I was from, and, you know, you was into the bodybuilding scene, you know, all the doorman, you was that sort of life that you was living. So you got into bodybuilding. How long were you doing bodybuilding?
How long did you say?
Yeah.
For about 7 years,
right.
seriously, competitively.
Right.
Which was, again, very interesting lessons learnt from there, which were taken to later other areas of life, which I think we're going to get on to.
Of course, yeah.
And the intensity mindset that was developed.
And that is, so that intensity mindset, anyone that knows me knows I'm massively intense. And actually, I am 100 miles an hour all the time. And actually, that came unravelling in the last month or two. I'm going to get to it later in depth. But your experience, you are someone who's got mad intensity. You throw yourself into anything, you'd give it 100% every single time. Whether, you know, you'd be opening some pistachio nuts, you'd give it 100%. Whether you're walking a dog, you'd give it 100%. Whether you're running, whether you're lifting weights, you'd give it 100%. That went horribly wrong, didn't it?
Yes.
Let me ask you this. What did you bench press?
What, right now?
Oh, what did you bench press?
Maximum bench press was 210 for 2 reps.
And what weight were you?
I was under 13 stone, so just under 13 stone body weight.
So you was bench pressing more than you...
Oh, yes, 2.5 times my body weight.
OK, so you're bench pressing 2.5 times your body weight. Tell me how it all went wrong. Right,
OK, well, there's several stories, really, OK, especially when it comes to the intensity, because this is going to be, I think, quite applicable to right now. When we develop that intensity mindset, we have this, what I call a push harder sort of...
OK, push harder, yeah.
And the thing is, pushing harder works at certain points in our life. So then, when we get problems come in, we tend to revert back to what worked in the past.
Wow.
Now, I was at a period of life when I was going through a growth stage financially.
Tell us about that.
OK, this was I'd actually got myself into a comfortable position. I had some passive income from a property. Right. I'd just moved and shifted careers into training people, which again is another story, because we'll get back onto that one, OK? And I wanted to put an internet product online. Back then, it was all about ego, drive.
OK, power.
Put that intensity into it. I can do this. I've done stuff before. Let's charge in. Unfortunately, using that mentality at that time, I was training very, very hard in winter time, and I was getting close to doing a photo shoot. Right.
So just to be clear, for those people that don't know, a photo shoot means you're getting lean, you're not eating as well because you want to get your fat levels down.
Yes, back then I used to diet hard, which is the way kind of traditionally it's done in the industry, which means you're eating very little, but then you're training very, very hard. That, during winter time, obviously, is a lot of stress on the body.
So very much an alpha male.
Brad, you know me. This is why we understand each other, because we're very similar like that.
And you was like all about the money. You're making money. Everything's good.
Charging
you're Mr. Cool. Got the cars. And it all went horribly wrong.
Yes. Well, it was about 2 weeks before my photo shoot was due. So I had 3 months of this hard dieting, hard, crazy training, focused mindset, and it was coming close to Christmas time. My girlfriend at the time and her friends were trying to drag me out into town. And I'm like, no, I've got stuff to do. Right, I'm focused.
I've got to weigh me tuna.
Yeah, that's it. And in the end, I gave up. I went out for a few drinks. Right. Obviously, I was pissed off
Right.
for being dragged out.
Okay.
Those few drinks turned into a few more drinks,
Right.
which turned into a big, long, heavy night.
And you was pissed off even in the first
Really
place.
pissed off that I'd gone against myself.
Yeah,
Do you know
there's
what
a
I
lesson
mean?
there, isn't there? There's a now what lesson
Yes. Never do things out of obligation. Yeah. And as I got home that night, late, I started to shiver. And I put a dressing gown on, got under the blankets, still shivering for hours. And I thought, shit, I'm really, really, really ill.
Got the flu, something?
Yeah,
Yep.
really, really, really ill. This 2-3 days later, still quite ill. Of course, you've got to remember my mindset back then was, let's go to the gym. Let's blast this cold out of me. Let's get refocused. Let's rebook the photo shoot. We can push harder. We can push through this. So I ring my mate up. I said, come on, Will, we're going to the gym. I'm going to blast this cold out of me. Going to get back on track and go for it, OK? Get to the gym, doing a heavy set of squats, doing about 180 kilos on my second set, powering through. But you've got to remember at the time, Brad, my anger was really high because I was pissed off with myself.
Just to be clear, I'm 90 kilos, so that's twice my body weight. Jada lifted me. So just so we know where we are, right? Because that's not normal.
Yeah,
right?
no, it's not normal, no.
So then that's the other thing as well. With that bodybuilding game, it's always about the next thing, isn't it? It's never about where you are. It's always the next thing. More reps, more weight. Sorry.
Yeah. So in the middle of that second set, full of self-annoyance, charging through, powering through, and then, boom, something went, OK?
Physically?
I'll tell you now, this is what's weird. Put the bar back on the rack, OK? Collapsed on the floor. My friend comes over and he's like, Jade, what's wrong? What's wrong, mate? I'm lying on the floor. And I'm going, I don't know what is wrong with me, but I have just completely fucked myself. Truth of the matter, Brad, I burnt out my nervous system. From that day after, I had chronic fatigue. I had to sleep 14, 16 hours a day. I had to have 2 to 3 cups of coffee to walk down one end of the high street and then sit down for 20 minutes.
So, listen, people, the reason that Jade is here is that's exactly, and I'm going to get to it later in my slides, I'm going to get to it, is that Jada recognised something in me. And I am that guy. I am Jada. I'm like, fucking the next thing. Come on, we go bigger and bigger and bigger. Until the point when actually you've got a finite capacity, whether it's strength, physical strength. There's a point when you can't, 1 extra kilo. Mental strength is the same thing. Sorry, go on.
Yes, so that mental intensity, that push harder mentality, that's all I knew. That's what worked for me.
Right.
Obviously, all of these negative experiences, which at the time seemed terrible, out the flip side comes learning and understandings that you would have never, ever have got if it wasn't going through that experience.
So after that, so your weight that you was doing was what, 200 kg, was it?
Back then I was repping out on 180 on squats, yeah.
So 180 kg, and then when you got back into the gym, say a week or so later, was you back to...
Well, Brad, get this, OK? So when I say my nervous system was fried, I'll give you an example. My normal bench press back then was 140 kilos, for about 6 or 7 good reps.
Yep.
So I put 100 kilos on.
Sorry, just to be clear,
yeah.
I'm 90 kilo. You're 1.5 Brads that you're bench pressing.
Back then, yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Again, mentality, Brad, you know?
But OK, so you're back to normal 2 weeks later?
No. So that's my normal, 140. So I put 100 on. Couldn't budget. So when I say I fried my nervous system and I had chronic fatigue, I literally destroyed my body, Brad, with the power of my mind of pushing too hard.
See, and this is, I think, where I've been. I think, even for all my lessons, and I'm going to get to it throughout the sessions today, but you recognise something in me and that I burnt out, and now what as they were tuned in will recognise that I burnt out and I was as honest as I could possibly be. I'm going to get to it today to actually what was going on there. So many fucking people right now with this COVID shit will be going through this. Yeah. They'll be pushing. Remember, it's only going to be 4 weeks, so you're pushing for the next 4 weeks until, of course, the next 4 weeks is going to be the next 4 weeks, and then and you're getting weaker and weaker and weaker, your mental resolve and your physical resolve. So did your, was that you fixed then from that situation? How long
it took me quite a long time to fix myself from that, Brad, which led to a whole new level of learning for my work, which was training, bodybuilding, helping people.
And you with your girlfriend at the time, same girlfriend?
Different girlfriend.
Okay, different girlfriend. Can't blame him. So you had a situation as well that we talked about, Jada, which is, you know, so you've done through bodybuilding, you was into steroids. Was you doing steroids at the time?
Back then I was doing, back then I was actually natural.
Right.
I came off steroids when I was 27.
Okay.
I'd been on for 7
right,
years.
right. We don't get into why you came off.
That's
exactly,
another story. Yeah, you know that one.
I do. It's a one-to-one form. So, you know, you came off the steroids, you did the thing, your nervous system was fried, and then you kind of found yourself a new...
Yeah, I had to really learn how to bring health and vitality back into the body. You see, all that push-harder mentality is what we call yang. So yang is masculine, aggressive energy, OK? That's what gets things done.
I've got lots of that,
yep. You've got lots of that, I've got lots of that naturally. But, of course, yin is the opposite. So yin is nurturing, rest, relaxation, feminine. Okay.
And that's the stuff that most fellas will go, what a waste of time that is.
Yeah.
Because that's where I was. I thought that resting is a waste of life. Like, pointless. Absolutely fucking pointless. Sorry, why are you going to bed at 10 o'clock? 10 o'clock? What are you, you know, are you 12? You know, so you got with your girlfriend and that went wrong afterwards as well?
Yeah.
That initially?
Which story are we on now?
Talk about your girlfriend and the things that went on.
Ah, right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, this was okay. Going back to this is why it's applicable now, Brad. You see, people are going to be going through all kinds of massive changes, crazy, which will appear negative and get them into really bad places. But I guess this is why this story is going to be relevant.
There's pressure does a lot of things to people.
Yeah.
And remember, as I said, and it's quite clear from what we're talking about here, Jada is physically very strong, he's an alpha male, tough as nails, and yet you managed to get yourself into a situation that you couldn't get out of.
Yeah, something happened which I would never, ever, ever would have dreamt would have happened to me, because I was always very strong-minded, strong-willed, got over lots of adversities throughout my entire life, but I ended up with a complete mental and emotional breakdown, which left me with anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and I was suicidal for 6 months. So I've been down to the lowest lows and brought myself back out of that place again.
I think that what ends up happening, and this is the bit about the nervous system, right? And actually, I've started looking into this over the last few months with Jada's help. Jada's been mentoring me throughout this to understand the body, because actually I was just like a machine just going from one experience, one exciting thing to the next exciting thing, not actually taking stock that actually this is a finite energy.
It's the yin. This is the yin side.
Totally.
The balance. You know?
And balance was all out, even though I thought balance was all in. That's the crazy thing about this. So when you look at your life and you had the breakdown and you said you're suicidal, this is why, I think I've sussed something out, that when you look at you know, a newspaper story that says a billionaire commits suicide or a pop star, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? Sorry, you've got a 25-year-old lad here who's got all the money in the world and he's killed himself, or there's a billionaire that recently gone, Steve Bing, he topped himself, and it's like, what's going on? And I believe that what's going on is that once you are shot, you don't have the strength to be able to get back, and you'd used all that strength and all that power to get to where you are, billionaire, millionaire, pop star, and now you're there and it's flat and empty. So tell me about the relationship that you had where it kind of got a bit wrong.
Well, that's kind of that's a long story. I could talk all day on that.
Don't do it all day, but you can have 5 minutes.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of what led up to the breakdown.
Okay.
I mean, do you want me to go into the details?
Please, I think it'd be useful.
Okay. Any specific details? Because you know quite a bit.
Yeah.
About that,
so you know, you was with a girl and everything was great, seemingly.
Yes.
But everything wasn't great behind closed doors.
Yes.
There was abuse going on, wasn't
there? Yeah.
Not on your part or hers?
Long story, but I mean, I don't know if I should actually go into too many details on that, because until she's ready to come forward on that herself.
Okay, good enough.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about this whole burnout thing.
Yes.
So you realise that this whole thing required you to build differently. You'd spent time focusing on muscle groups. So when you do your arms, you're doing the triceps, you're doing this, you're doing that. You had to build up your brain. What was the process for that? Right,
okay, so this is going to be interesting, because that process of coming out of the depression and the anxiety and the post-traumatic stress disorder and all that, there were certain things that I realised were pivotal, okay? And this is going to apply to where people are now with the amount of building stress, uncertainty, the increase in suicides and mental health and all that sort of stuff. I created a rule for myself, and that is that my own well-being, which was mental, physical emotional and spiritual well-being had to be #1 priority, okay?
Now, that sounds a load of hippie bullshit, which is... And I said this to you, I said, but one of the things I referred to as a modern-day hippie, it sounds like, yeah, all right, you've been smoking too much weed, but honestly, and I've got a Fitbit now, right? I've got a Fitbit, which I bought as a result of working with Jada. My resting heart rate, as when we first started, it was up here, then we got it down here, and then I started getting a bit lazy, and now it started going back up again. Definitively, I saw changes in my resting heart rate within 2 days, and my sleep score, which is the way Fitbit does it, it grades your sleep, had improved, like, massively. I thought sleep was a waste of time. I'd also didn't have good sleep, and this is something that you taught me, good sleep and relaxing.
Yeah, well, this is the important thing. You see, we was talking about the yang and the yin, and you have a nervous system. They call it the autonomic, which sounds like automatic, because it's all automatic. And that's got 2 sides, OK? One side is rest and digest, OK? The other side is fight or flight. So if you imagine these 2 scales of each side, for most people in our modern world, their nervous system is literally on the fight or flight side most of the time. Situation as it is now, it's going to be there more of the time. Now, this is the problem, you see. When it doesn't switch back deeply to that side, you don't heal. Your immune system doesn't work properly. You don't regenerate. So most people, they think they're relaxing. So switch the TV on.
Have an ice cream, lovely.
Yeah. Go to bed tired, wake up. That is not switching your nervous system into rest and repair. This is where all the gold is. The more crap that's going on here, the more you have to prioritise. Again, self-care comes back to focusing on that. You've experienced this just a very small degree, and yet you've seen massive benefits.
Oh, massive. You talked to me at the time when we were going through these sessions, and you said to me, a saber-toothed tiger in the village.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, you see, with external threats that the mind perceives, it triggers the nervous system just like it would have done thousands of years ago when there was a real physical threat. So you get a letter come through the door, your debt's building up, etc., etc., etc. That puts you into the same state that you would be in if you was being attacked.
Okay.
The only difference is, 100 years ago, 300, 400, 500 years ago, that threat, once you ran away from it or you killed it, you would then chill out.
Right.
But these days, that's not happening. Instead of chilling out, you're putting TV on, putting news on, talking to people, got their problems.
And you've got
so your nervous system's here.
You've got explosions going on, you've got riots around the world, you've got fucking legal problems, you've got fucking...
The information age, Brad.
And actually, we was never conditioned for that.
No.
So this is the problem, is that we're all... You know what it's like? And this is what went on with me, is that what was happening with me is every spare moment, whether it was dealing with now what, for networking, COVID, family, whatever, any downtime, I would be spent fucking listening and watching Black Lives Matter protests, and then watching, and then fucking hell, and then I burnt out.
It's how the brain works, Brad, you see. It's a survival mechanism. So if we sense danger, if there's information on that danger, we'll automatically keep going for that information to be prepared to make sure that we're safe against that danger. So, again, the modern world really messes us up.
Carl says this is brilliant, and it is, and this is like, you know, this is why I got Jada in on this. This is, you know, this is a guy who spent many, many years building his body, and what he doesn't know about muscle groups and all that sort of stuff isn't worth knowing. But the reality is you've switched that whole focus on bodybuilding to the mind and understanding. I thought this yin-yang stuff, I thought, what a load of shit. And actually, the results speak for themselves. I'm sleeping much, much better through what you said to me, and this is crazy again, but I'm going to share it. 20 to 8. What did you say? 20 to 8, I want you to switch off for 20 minutes. Do you want to share?
What I was telling you to do to relax
minutes.
and calm down?
20 minutes.
Yeah. Now, this is the interesting thing, Brad, OK? So this would be a good little tip for everybody, OK?
Totally.
All right. So what I was saying about the autonomic nervous system and the fight or flight and the rest and digest, this is where we heal. Most people are stuck here, and it's relative. If you say to somebody, are you relaxed? They're going to go, yeah, I'm relaxed. But, of course, it's relative to what they're used to. It's a relative term, so it's not actually... I say to people, have a full body massage. That's your reference for relaxation. Right. So how do we tune into this? How do we control this? Or how do we become aware of where this scale is so that we don't burn out, so that we don't get sick and stressed, so that we can control it? It's a simple mechanism. Automatically, we breathe. We don't think about breathing.
OK.
OK? That's part of the autonomic nervous system. So if you shift your conscious awareness onto your breathing, then you can get to gauge where your nervous system is.
People, if you're watching this, which you obviously are, do that. Big breath. Tell them how to do it.
Yeah,
because this is what you told me to do for 20 minutes. And you think, oh, fuck off, Jada. Yeah. And I did it. And actually, I swear to you, people, sleeping better and everything for 20 minutes. Go.
Yeah, OK, right. So breathe in. So if you want to control the relaxation side, OK, you want to start breathing deep and low into your stomach, OK? So now, if anyone's stressed, they're going to be breathing fast and high in the chest.
That's right.
You know? Like if you're getting pumped up a minute ago to come on stage, your breathing was fast, high in the chest, adrenaline going, motivation, yeah? OK, so the opposite of that, to switch the nervous system into that
good in it, Pips.
is to take a big deep breath in, and then next time, make it go down lower. And your nervous system automatically starts to calm. So deep, slow, low. Another little tip when you're doing that is you can breathe in deep, you can hold your breath, and you can feel where tension is on your body. Might be in your neck, shoulders, might be in your face, might be in your legs. But you can feel that tension and you can let that tension
You've got
go.
Team Yoga, by the way. We've got Ansi and Kim and Mac, all yoga fans there going, yeah, we like this here, approving of this.
It's crucial, Brad, now. It's crucial.
Well, listen, one of the things that you said to me, and there's some stuff that I've stolen for later on, right? So, with friends, never stealing when it's friends. But you said to me about this fight or flight. So years ago, you'd have a village, they'd come in with spears, a saber-tooth tiger, you'd fight the thing, and you'd go back to relax. Nowadays, with that constant fucking kids wanting food, money coming out, bills, it's overwhelmed. There was you go at 20, Helena says, and he's cute. She needs to behave yourself. You've got a bit of a fan club going.
Oh, right, brilliant.
Exactly right. Are you single at the moment, by the way?
Yeah.
Yes, there you go, brilliant. So, that'll be a bonus now, what? Wouldn't be the first one. But you talked about this whole thing about going into the village, and actually now we have that constant... Now, what you said to me, and this science supports this, is when you have an operation and they go and take out an organ...
Yeah. If you're say you're in a car crash and you're smashed up, or 80% of your body's got third-degree burns. In other words, your critical condition. One of the things they do, and it's got several reasons, but one of the reasons is this, and that's they put you into a forced coma. Okay, it makes things easier, but what that actually does, it completely slows down the nervous system so that it's completely into healing mode, which means repair and rejuvenation happens quicker. And it's an exponential curve, Brad. It's not like get a little bit relaxed, you're going to start healing. The deeper the relaxation, the more
Jada, why
healing.
did you get into all this? See, you've got to understand, I mean, I consider myself a smart operator of my world and niche, but you have drilled down so much about this because it was important. I think you probably had to ask that question. Why? Why did I end up in this situation? The other thing you taught me is that when people have organ transplants, they give you cortisol, stress, so that it doesn't because it shuts down the immune system.
Yeah.
When you shut...
That's it, that's it. Yeah, well, this is the thing. When you're going into fight or flight, OK, because it's like a scale, right? This is your immune system, this is heal, this is repair. In the middle is fine, but once you're over here, this is shut down, OK? So stress hormone, cortisol, you mentioned it, that rises, that actually shuts down the usefulness of all the hormones that are actually going to build your body up,
all your
make your body
defences,
strong.
all your antibodies, everything's getting shut down. So then we end up ill.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we're stressed.
Yeah.
Because we've stayed in stress for far too long.
Well, this was that push harder. This is why I had that burnout, because it was self-inflicted stress. That constant, come on, go, fight. Done. That was a hard lesson, but the learning out of it.
So how long did it take you to fix?
That was a slow journey out, Brad. I reckon about 1.5 to 2 years before I was back to normal.
2.5 years for me. 2.5 years previously, back in 2012. And this is the thing, there's a long way to go from when you're feeling stressed to actually, once you break, that's you finished. So the idea is if you're here now...
Manage it.
Do something about it. Get it down now before you wiped out for 2 years.
Yeah, I think the good tip today is because of what is going on externally, is to understand that your brain does want to keep an eye on everything that could be a danger, but obviously it's not actually a real danger. It's like fear versus a real danger, OK? So you want to kind of narrow down anything that is triggering your stress levels and really start making an effort to create that environment, especially at home, where it turns into a peaceful relaxing, calming place. Why? Because you're going to rejuvenate. When you rejuvenate and you've done your yin, that balance out, then you can get on and do your yang. And this is what you worked out the other day, isn't it?
Mate, you know, you look at Now What Live, and I tell you, the energy that we're bringing today has been great, by the way, it really has. But if I was to do this every single day, what would happen is after like 5 days of this, I'd start being slow. I'd start switching off. I wouldn't have that same energy and that intensity. When you trained, you did whatever it was, 5 years of training before all this breakdown. How often did you go to the gym?
Just before I had that burnout and that big breakdown, that was about 3 times a week.
Okay.
About full-on hardcore. That's pretty intense, really like warrior mode, basically.
Right, and that's so interestingly about warrior mode. What's the flip of a warrior mode?
Well, again, this is the thing. Again, this is the thing with the flip with the warrior mode. And I'll use this brief little story. Okay.
You've got a couple of questions as well.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Wicked. So we think of a warrior. Again, I use this with clients as an example, as the ultimate physical specimen, because the ancient warrior would have been fit, would have been agile, would have been healthy, and would have been strong and powerful. And they're also trained their minds as well. So it's a good example to use for your body. But what people don't realise, to get into that state, they were also masters of rest and relaxation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
I'll give you an example. The Spartans, the 300 story. Everybody's heard of that story.
Yep. Question, Pip.
What's not in that film, okay, is that the day before the attack happened with the 300, okay, Artaxerxes sent out his spies to see what the Spartans are doing to prepare. The spies came back and they said the Spartans are having a bath, they're braiding each other's hair, they're singing songs, reading poetry and massaging each other. Artaxerxes they've gone crazy.
Strange times then, different times.
Yeah, and he's like, no, you don't understand the Spartans. What were they doing? They were getting their bodies, building it up, because the next day they were ready to kill.
So, let me explain something. So, today, at Now What Live, I had an amazing sleep, 85, sleep score of 85.
Brilliant.
Prior to your teachings, I was having a sleep score of 61, 62, that kind of my guess based on, you know, on the occasional bad sleep. So my sleep is a whole lot better. I had 6 hours sleep, I had a sleep score of 85, Fitbit charged 4, by the way, amazing. But I'm having less sleep, but quality sleep improved. And actually, if I had come off a bad night's sleep, and my blood sugars would have been high. We tested them today, so I had to yesterday, and we're going to get to it later, but I had to behave myself yesterday food-wise, because if I'd have come into it, it's like a down payment. Yesterday I'd have got through, great, but today I've got to pay the price. And I think that's whatever we put out, we've kind of got to pay the price. So with that intensity that I've got, and everyone sees it as a motivational speaker, I cannot maintain that forever, unless, of course, you want to burn out, which is exactly what happened. Questions, Pippa?
OK, we've got a question here from Robert Leet, who says, I'd be curious to know how Jada has switched his approach to training and dieting now based off what happened to him when he burnt out.
So Robert is a PT over in Bristol.
OK,
top
cool,
boy.
Cool. Yeah, my philosophy and the way I approach training is vastly different. If I explain the most basic part of the philosophy, and that is that we are 98% monkey gene. So we don't think of ourselves as an animal, physically speaking,
right.
But we are. Well, I mean, sometimes we conceive that we are animals. Yeah. So back in our natural environment, we were healthy. In our natural environment, we ate foods that were natural. We had a lifestyle that was natural in terms of being in cycle with going to sleep, OK? Like I said, our stress was very, 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 very rare.
Yeah, so spike and then...
Yeah, that's it, and most of the time. So, again, taking those basic fundamental factors and bringing your body back to how it would be in a natural environment strengthens the body, OK? What was the question again?
Training. Back in the old days, you did 3 sessions of warrior mode. How often do you train now?
Again, this is the other thing about training, OK? So training is a spark to create an adaptation in the body, all right? You want to grow the muscle, you train hard, intensity, you create that spark. You then go to stage 2, which is giving yourself the building blocks.
So I was training with you last week and you did give me like 3 kilogram weights. Yeah. And I'm like, next thing we went, how is that so heavy? Yeah. And it's because of the way that you do it. And how long are your sessions?
What, with myself right now? Again, I've only been training myself once a week for the last 3 years, Brad, because it's not been an essential thing. And as you know, I maintain a good physique.
Amazing.
It's not about time in the gym. It's about more time spent on feeding the body with good food. Wow. Okay, the more you can up your nutrition.
Wow,
okay,
I see.
Yeah, and then the quality of the rest and recovery. Of course. This mindset where everybody is, even in the gym industry, of taking pre-workouts, training harder, pushing harder, is messing them all up.
So here's
Yeah.
the thing, right, about this, and this is blow my socks off. We'll take a couple of questions in a second, Pips. Is that I've been locked down for 5 months. I've not gone to the gym. I would go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week, and my body shape hasn't changed that much. And I go, why the fuck was I spending 6 to 8 hours a week for... It's nothing to do with that. It's to do with rest, and it's to do with that kind of stuff and what you eat. And I just like blow my socks off. So it's like a myth that has been... that I've been on this autopilot, going to the gym like I have been, and I've not really changed shape.
It's that Western mentality of pushing harder. It is, isn't it? It's our society is, let's go, 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 go.
Pips.
Your not so secret admirer, Helena, says, naps rock, they truly do. Does Jada nap?
What, as in power naps?
Yeah.
Oh, occasionally a power nap, but yeah, like we were talking about, like this relaxation and winding down. What happens when you deliberately, you've been spending 20 minutes and you've just started. So obviously the better you get at it, the deeper you can go. So you're switching your nervous system down, and what you're finding is your quality of sleep, in other words, you're having a deeper sleep.
Mate, mental.
Yeah, so it's not even about time sleeping, it's about quality, and that is down to winding down your nervous system again.
And I think that, like I say, what's interesting, and this is human nature, I don't need it anymore. I'm all right today. Well, so I'm fixed now, and I've stopped doing it. I told you, I've been honest about it. I said, listen, and you went, fucking sort it out, Brad. But with all as humans, we do that. Fine now. It's like me with diabetes. It's under control. Fuck it. Where's my curry at? And now, 3 days later, you've got diabetes again. It's like, fuck's sakes. Because, it's not like it's a surprise. It doesn't go away forever if you eat curry.
This comes back to that rule which got me out of that place, that really horrible place, was self-care, #1. Because the moment you let that slip and other things start taking priority, 2-3 days go by, guess what? Your sleep suffers, your health suffers, and then you don't think so well. And it doesn't take long for that to spiral back.
Totally.
So making that your own well-being, physical, mental, emotional, etc.
So what you don't know, and this is not asked me to say this, but I will say it, Jada's doing 4 sessions for 200 quid. So if you are interested in having 4 one-hour sessions with Jada, Pippa will get his email address and work with Jada. I promise you, it blew my socks off because I was in a bad way, and I'm going to get to it in session 3, I think it is, or 4. I was in a bad way, and actually, he'd really helped me out. Final question, Pips.
This one comes from Richard Eaton, who's zooming in from Vietnam. He says, what is Jada's biggest tip for not reacting in the moment and triggering stress?
Well, again, I would say being consciously aware of your state, and obviously your breathing is your mechanism to tell where your state is, and withdrawing from the moment. If you've got that awareness and you feel like something's triggering you, take yourself away from that environment for a few minutes and then concentrate on calming down. There's a lot more to it. When you're getting triggered externally, there's always a reason why you're getting triggered, and that comes onto another subject of psychology, but tell him to send me an email if you want.
I'll tell you what, he's a bright lad. He's not as thick as his look. Boys and girls, I can never pronounce his surname. It's Jada
Castellari.
There you go. Thank you so much, boss.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. Cheers, cheers. Thank you. Cheers. Thank you. Thank you. Cheers. Is that all right?
Yeah, maybe.
Good, good.
Invisible. Invisible. We're all right. We're all right. We're all friends here. We're all friends. Hey, they're good.